so we are on group 5 and we got the topic. This house believes that emotional intelligence is more important than logical intelligence in effective communication. So we, 3 of us, are going to be on affirmative side and 3 of them will be on the opposite team. Okay. Let's start on the affirmative side. So good afternoon everyone. We, the proposition team, strongly believe that emotional intelligence or EQ is more important than logical intelligence or IQ in effective communication. As psychologist Daniel Goleman defined EQs as self-awareness, empathy, and social skills as essential for connection. Communication is not only about delivering facts, it's about understanding feelings. Without emotional intelligence, logic becomes robotic and detached. That's why we stand firmly on this motion. And what's about your side?
Okay, thank you. While we respect their proposition, passion, we firmly believe that logical intelligence is more important in achieving effective communication. Communication must first be accurate, and relation, emotion can support it. But logic must lead. As Littleton said, reason is the master of passion. Without logic, emotion becomes chaos.
I can go with that. So they say logical intelligence makes communication clear and structured, but being clear isn't enough if the listener feels disrespected or unheard, because people respond based on emotions, not just logic. Therefore, we believe that emotional intelligence must come first because it opens the door for communication to happen at all.
Okay. They say that communication is about connection, but this definition is incomplete because connection alone does not guarantee understanding. Because effective communication requires a clear and structured transfer of ideas that others can interrupt and act upon. Emotion without reason can become unclear and misleading. Therefore, this house believes that logical intelligence must take priority because clarity must come before connection.
Okay, they say logic ensures accuracy and correctness, but even a correct method fails if the listener does not feel respected or heard. Because trust is built through empathy, research from Harvard Business Review show that empathy creates strong trust than logic alone. Therefore, believe that emotional intelligence is more important because trust is what makes communication meaningful and effective.
They say empathy is essential to communication, but empathy without logic often results in confusion rather than clarity because it feels like medicine raw and science communication only works when it is accurate, evidence-based, and logical, not emotional. Logical intelligence ensures precision and credibility. Therefore, we believe that logic must lead communication as emotion makes comfort, but only logic collect.
They say logic brings clarity, but clarity is unless if the listener feels ignored or uncared for. Because a doctor can give perfect medical information, but without empathy, the patient still feel anxious and unsafe. Therefore, we believe that emotional intelligence matters more in communication because people respond to care, not just correctness.
They say trust is built on empathy, But emotional trust is fragile and unreliable because people trust professionals not for their kindness, but for their competence and rational decision making. A failing pilot cannot land a plane. Logic and training do. We believe that reliable communication depends on reason, not emotion.
So, they say logic helps solve disagreements, but logic alone often makes arguments worse because it can sound cold or dismissive. Because students from Yale University shows that people with high emotional intelligence resolve conflicts 60% better by staying calm and understanding others. Therefore, we believe that emotional intelligence is more important because it turns conflict into cooperation instead of escalation.
Okay, they say emotional intelligence protects against manipulation, but manipulators primarily exploit emotion but not logic. Advertisers, politicians, influencers, or appear to feelings to bypass thinking. But logical intelligence enables us to analyze, question, and resist persuasive emotional shortcuts. As Kahneman noted, reason corrects such shortcuts. Therefore, we believe that logic, not emotion, is the real defense against manipulation.
They say emotion is leaky and can be manipulated, but logic can also be manipulated through bias, statistic, or 20th reasoning. Because emotional intelligence help people lead toward an intent, protecting us from hidden manipulation. Therefore, we believe that emotional intelligence makes communication wiser and safer than relying on logic alone.
They say emotion help resolve conflict, but emotion can just easily ignite or escalate conflict because logic separates fact from feeling, allowing fair, objective, and workable solution. Emotion may come temporarily, but only logic solves root causes. Therefore, we believe that without reason, communication becomes circular and emotional, making logic the more effective tool for conflict resolution.
They say logic is enough for effective communication, but in their workplace and daily life, people do not follow logic alone. They follow reason who inspire them. Because according to Caruso and Sorowi, emotionally intelligent leaders improve their motivation and performance. Therefore, we believe that emotional intelligence is more important because it influences people and drives their results.
They say empathic communication leads to better leadership and stronger relationships, but emotional comfort is often short-term and unstable because long-term success in education, law, and policy depends on consistency, credibility, and reason quality. Logic sustains better than emotion. Therefore, we believe that for lasting and effective communication, logic must lead as emotions fade while reason remains constant.
Okay, so let's do the conclusion. So our team, we've shown today this logic structures, communication, but emotions give it life. Our opponents rely on cold reasoning, but without empathy, words lose meaning. Therefore, for truly effective communication, emotional intelligence is not just more important, it's essential.
So, to conclude, the proposition gives emotion a heart, but forget a brain. Emotion adds warmth, yes, but logic provides truth and direction. If communication must choose a leader, let reason lead emotion, not the other way around. Therefore, we proudly oppose this motion. Thank you.
She just said we got no brain.
Haha.